The large open space of the Nazca Desert in southern Peru contains one of the biggest mysteries of the ancient world. It is so dry that nothing grows and the winds barely blow, but if you fly over it, you would notice something odd on the ground below. Huge shapes, some perfectly formed, others resembling animals, appear on the desert floor but only from the air. These are the Nazca Lines, a puzzling discovery that has left historians, archaeologists, and researchers searching for answers for many years. The question is, why were these giant shapes created, and what did they symbolize? Some theories are that they are markers for stars, routes for rituals, or even locations for alien landings. This question remains one of the greatest archaeological puzzles ever uncovered. To understand the Nazca Lines, we first have to examine the people who created them. The Nazca people lived on the southern coast of Peru from 200 BC to 600 AD. They thrived in one of the most difficult places on Earth, the dry, nearly rainless desert of the region. Despite these difficult conditions, the Nazca established a thriving society. Their greatest accomplishment was the development of a sophisticated irrigation system, which had underground channels called puquios to bring water to their crops. These channels were crucial in a land that was otherwise extremely harsh. The Nazca created many impressive things such as pottery and fabric. But their greatest work is the Nazca Lines, which are only visible from the air. These huge drawings were probably created by scraping away the top layer of reddish soil to reveal a lighter layer underneath. The lines vary in thickness, from a little less than a foot to over 12 feet, and they stretch for miles over the flat terrain. The Nazca Lines were originally discovered in the early 20th century by Peruvian military pilots. From above, they spotted the detailed drawings, some of which were so large that they could only be fully seen from the sky. Gradually, researchers began investigating these strange markings, which appeared to stretch around 50 miles. Due to the dry weather and still desert air, the geoglyphs have remained extremely well preserved. The question has always been, why were they created? The size and careful design of the Nazca Lines show that their creators had strong planning and organizational skills. The lines are not random marks. They show massive animal forms, such as a spider, a monkey, and even a human-like figure, as well as geometric shapes and spirals. Some of these forms are more than 1,000 feet in length, and you can only grasp their true size from a high vantage point. This raises another mystery. How did the Nazca people create these giant figures without modern tools to guide them from above? What was the need for such gigantic creations? Numerous ideas have been put forward over the years regarding why the Nazca Lines were constructed. Most popularly, it is thought that the geoglyphs served some religious or ceremonial function. Some scientists believe the lines were used to mark significant astronomical events. Paul Kosok, a well-known historian, was among the first to suggest that the lines worked as an astronomical calendar. In the 1940s, Kosok observed something remarkable. At the end of one of the lines on the winter solstice, the setting sun aligned perfectly with it. This led him to believe that the lines marked the positions of stars and planets at important times such as solstices and equinoxes. Kosok's discovery was followed by more research on how the lines match with stars. Some shapes, such as the monkey or the hummingbird, appear to be connected to constellations. Some scientists believe that the Nazca created the lines to track important movements in the sky. They believe that the lines served as a celestial guide for their culture. This knowledge would have been crucial for farmers, helping them decide when to plant and harvest their crops. Another theory is that the lines were part of religious rituals. Some archaeologists believe that the Nazca used the lines to organize parades or rituals to appease the gods, particularly during periods of drought or other disasters. Under this theory, the lines were not simply shapes or markers for stars. They were routes for spiritual journeys. People may have walked the lines in ritualistic ways, along routes that correlated with sacred events or sky alignments. The maze-like patterns suggest that these lines may have been used for ceremonial walking paths. This theory is supported by discovering platforms close to some of the lines, where archaeologists uncovered precious items such as spondylus shells, sea creatures that were precious to the Nazca. These discoveries indicate that the geoglyphs had more meaning. The fact that some of the figures correspond to known religious rituals and gods supports this theory. One of the more unlikely theories is that the Nazca Lines were created as landing sites for aliens from outer space. This theory has become popular in some circles, inspired by the imagination of science fiction authors and thinkers. The theory states that the giant figures, which can only be viewed from the air, could have been created to draw attention from visitors from other worlds. While there is little solid evidence for this theory, the mystery of the lines has made them legendary in popular culture. While popular, the alien theory has largely been rejected by archaeologists. During the 1980s, some researchers successfully replicated one of the larger figures, the condor, using simple tools such as wood and ropes, proving that the Nazca were able to create such large images with the technology available to them at the time. By the time the Nazca civilization started to collapse, between the 5th and 7th centuries AD, the geoglyphs had already existed for many years. Some scientists believe that the increase in creating the lines during this period was in response to natural disasters, such as earthquakes and extreme droughts, that affected the region. The collapse of the Nazca civilization is believed to have been made worse by the collapse of their sophisticated water system, which they needed for farming in such an arid environment. In order to please the gods and restore balance, the Nazca might have had more religious ceremonies, creating more lines and shapes in an attempt to reverse their bad luck. This period of strife likely contributed to the eventual collapse of the Nazca civilization. As their social and governmental systems collapsed, the geoglyphs began to be used more for rituals, perhaps in a last attempt to reconnect with the gods and restore peace to their strife-filled world. Today, the Nazca Lines remain fascinating for historians and archaeologists. They are one of the largest mysteries of ancient Peru, and tourists from around the globe visit to witness the magnitude and detail of these peculiar patterns. The lines illustrate how intelligent the Nazca people were and their close relationship with the earth, the sky, and the spiritual realm. Although numerous theories have been put forward over the years, we may never know the complete reasoning behind the Nazca Lines. What is certain, however, is that they were not simply marks. They played an important role within the Nazca thought process, demonstrating their culture, their beliefs, and their relationship to the universe. If you enjoyed watching about the Nazca Lines, subscribe, comment, and like for more thrilling adventures into the world's largest mysteries. What do you think the Nazca Lines were meant for? Share with us in the comments below, and let us know what other ancient mysteries you'd like us to explore next.